Hi. Okay, it's rolling. I think this is like, no joke, my 5th time making this video because I literally cannot seem to keep it under half an hour, and I really don't want to be that annoying person keeping everyone's time. So we're going to try again. So with that, I'm just going to shut up. First thing I'm going to say is, one, thank you for everyone for being very curious as to what I'm doing. I hope you don't watch this and get disappointed, because it's not like I have like written the book on how to get out of debt and budget and etc. I just read other people's books and put together a plan that worked for us. And by another person's book, I'm referring to Dave Ramsey. His Total Money Makeover. I think like reading it, like Joe and I reading it together, really got us on board to start sitting down and putting pen to paper and watching where our money is going and prioritizing and making sure that our money is going towards the things that we want it to. Also, I'm going to say that I follow some of like the Budget Moms principles, and actually the worksheets that I'm using, those are from her as well. I actually paid for these because before I was just like using like a plain piece of copy paper, and these are just like a lot more organized. And so I think I paid like $2 for these. She has like a whole workbook though that I think I'm gonna ask Santa for, but we'll see. So I just want to give credit where credit is due for those. I did not create these. I did not like write a book. I did not write ever. I'm doing things the old school way. The new school way of just like mindlessly swiping my debit or credit card and spending money and not watching where it was going didn't work for me, and it got me into a really bad place. I can't even say me and Joe, into a really bad place. And about 6 months ago, I was like crying, paying the bills, holding my 6-month-old, and wondered where the heck our money was going, and realized that what did I sit down and do it? 95% of our income goes to debt. And that makes me so sick to think about, because I could have 90% of our income going, like 95, it's like 90 or 95, I don't know, percent of our income going towards like saving for retirement, saving for our child's college. I mean, we do a little bit, but more so than we do. And, you know, we could be able to like budget for fun money, and oh well, the child in me got me here, and now the adult me has to come clean it up. And that's that. So I'm not writing the book on how to get out of debt. I follow, like I said, some of Dave Ramsey's principles and some of the Budget Moms principles. You're not going to see on here, but Joe and I do have like an emergency saving fund in case, God forbid, something ever happened that we couldn't possibly plan for. We could use that money. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about an amount. I'm not going to talk about my son's savings account, because I'm not, like when his grandpa sends him a check for like his birthday or something like that goes in that. That's not our money. I don't include this in here except for the little bit that Joe and I get to put in every once in a while. So we do have money set aside. Honestly, I don't even think you're going to like see it in these lists. So know that we're broke, but we're not that broke. Also, you're going to get really, really scared probably, and like want to like feel sorry for me when I'm going through this and you see like my amount coming out to like $0 at the end of the month. I do that on purpose. I work with a zero-based budget. So that means I'm giving every dollar a purpose and a name, and I'm using it intentionally. So we also do have like a cushion in our checking account. It's not like my checking account is coming to zero at the end of every month, or after every paycheck, but technically if I didn't have a cushion in there, it would. So you don't have to like feel sorry for me and like offer, to take my Cash App username or anything like that. I do this on purpose. Also, we live completely within our means and try to live under them. We don't need much, and we we don't want much anymore. Our biggest goal right now is to get out of debt and start setting ourselves up for a really good retirement, setting JR up for a really good future, and then making sure that, when Joe's done with his military career, that we could potentially pay for a home in cash. And that would be, that's a big long-term goal of mine. But anyway, you're also going to think that I am really poor because Joe's income looks very, very small. I'm not even factoring in like the little bit of income I bring in from my Usborne book side business, because that is sporadic. And when we do get that, you'll see like, you're not going to see right here because I'm not like balancing these out for the end of the paycheck. And that's where I'd go in and like write all my actuals and everything in case we did make more money. And then I would put that towards a various sinking fund or an envelope or extra debt or whatever our priority is for that month. So, yes, we live within our means. Also, you're not going to see things like rent, water, electric, and whatnot. That already comes out of Joe's paycheck. So that's also why it looks really low as well. Our utilities, rent, stuff like that is taken care of for us. So I'm going to try and like turn this around and keep this under half an hour. Okay, cool. So, my coffee cup's like giving a shadow. Oops. Okay, so over here I just have like some printed out calendars. Like I said, these are from the Budget Mom. And what I do is I go through, and I'm sure everyone, whether you're military or not, like what day you're going to get paid. Our bank, Joe actually gets paid like a day or two early. So technically, like this first one in August, we're not even going to be like looking at that check. But technically that came in, I think on like the 29th or the 30th, but for the sake of this calendar, I just threw it on the 1st. And you can see any that's boxed out in yellow and anything highlighted in yellow got paid from that check. So Joe's getting paid this Thursday. I'm boxing that out in orange. Everything in orange is getting paid for with that check. And so that's just what I've got over here. And then over here, like I said, another printout from the Budget Mom. I'm going to shut up about that. I try to do this like purple too, so hopefully it stands out to you guys. So Joe, I'm budgeting for $950. Most of the time, this is about $100 to $200 higher. But sometimes for some reason, his check does come in and it is low. So I want to budget for the worst case scenario. Don't budget for $2,000 if you know that you're really only bringing home $1,500 every month, because you're going to come up short. So this is my worst case scenario. This is like the lowest check from him that I had ever seen. So that's what I budget for, just in case that were to ever happen again. So I promise we're broke, but we're not that broke. We are, because technically we have debt. But anyway, so I just list out my bill and then the date that it's due. And it bothers me so much that I put this one down here when the 14th should have been up here. Anyway, so what I'm budgeting for it. And then at the end of the month, like I said, I'll come through and put in these actual numbers. And then all of these numbers total up to $481, leaving me with $467 left over from that original $950. And then typically envelope, I would take all of these out in cash and put that cash in a labeled envelope for these categories, but places aren't taking cash right now. So I actually just have like that food envelope. I won't put the $400 cash on it anymore, but I'll write $400 at the top of it and then keep a running total as I go to the grocery store and swipe my debit card, and then just tuck those receipts in there. So that's something that I've had to start recently now that grocery stores and stuff like that aren't taking cash due to the change shortage or coin shortage, whatever. So this is where you're like, oh my God, Haley, $9 left over at the end of the month, you poor thing. Well, yeah, it does suck, but guess what? All of our bills are paid, and that's $400 for food. And when I talk food, $400 might look like a lot to you. It might look like very little. But when I talk food, I'm talking really it's grocery, but it's any consumable that's coming in or out of our household. So for us, that's diapers, toilet paper, wipes, dinners, lunches, paper towels, you know, all that, all the consumables that come in and out of our household. And then gas, like that's over budget. We've not filled up since like the end of July, and we still have almost a full tank of gas. So that's definitely going to come in like zero probably. Or like it might be like 30 or something to fill up the SUV. But anyway, so $9 left over. But again, we want to budget like worst case scenario. So that leaves me with $9 left over. I'm not just going to spend it willy-nilly. It's not just going to sit in my account. I'm going to give it a purpose. So $9 left over. Christmas is coming up. I'm budgeting for Christmas. I don't want to put myself back into more credit card debt for something that I know is coming up. That would be stupid. That would be childish. That's how I have a maxed out credit card from that type of thinking from before. So it's not much, but at least I'm getting to take $9 out of this check on the 13th. I'm going to take that out in cash. So in all reality, I'll probably just round it up and I'll take out a 10 at the ATM. Because in all reality, one of these are going to come in lower. But anyway, so technically I have $9 left over that I'm going to take out in cash. And put it in that Christmas envelope that we have hanging out here at home. That adds up to $9. That leaves me with $0 left over from this paycheck. I've used every single one of my dollars. I've given them a name, a purpose, etc. And like I said, maybe I make some income that I don't have factor in here. Joe's paycheck will probably come in about $200 higher. So let's say that happens. Let's say we have a surplus of $200 extra from this check. I'm probably going to come down here. And then so if you follow Dave Ramsey or you don't, he has this principle called the debt snowball. It means you start with like your lowest debt and you try to pay that one off first. And once you do, you take that, you know, minimum payment you were paying towards that or any extra and add it to your next highest debt's minimum payment. If that makes any sense the way I'm saying that. But you can go read his book, The Total Money Makeover, and it'll explain it all. Or just listen to his podcast, you know, like maybe when you're in the car or something. And so then maybe I would get to come over here and like write like Capital One or something, and my budget for that would be $0, but then I would actually get to put $200 extra toward that or something. But then technically, I didn't do it. I would go through and like look at where it says like totals 1, total 2, 3, 4, 5, and I would add all those up, and I would want to make sure that those equal 0, because that means I shouldn't say 0. They'll equal this $9.50 or, you know, like whatever this actual dollar comes in to be. And that means I've used every single one of my dollars, and that means I've done it right. But that is that paycheck that coming up actually in a few days. So, moving into, technically this is going to be September. That paycheck's really going to come in on the 29th, but this is my September bills. So I'm going to leave like, this is my August calendar. It's coming on the 29th. I have it boxed out in green. Again, I think that highlighting, and Budget Mom talks about this a lot too, I think using these visual aids like fun colors and stuff like that, they grab your attention and make you focus on what you're talking about. I'm trying to like hold in a sneeze. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so again, I'm going to budget that worst case scenario, $9.50. And then I've got all of these bills listed out. And I'm not going to get into politics, but some of you know that President Trump has extended the you don't have to pay on your student loans, which is what these two bills are. And typically I budget to pay those, but I am taking this opportunity to put a little extra towards some other goals that we have. And that's just what I'm doing for this paycheck. But, you know, probably like the next one, I will pay those again. And see, I had intentions to pay them. That's why I wrote the 50 and the 52. But then I decided not to, and to come over here and like add a little bit more towards Christmas, you know, like maintenance for our car, stuff like that. But anyway, we'll get to that. So our phone bill, our car payment, this is internet. Like I said, those are student loans. And then Capital One, my least favorite bill to pay. It makes me sick to my stomach. Anyway, those add up to $800. That means I'm left over with $150 from that original $950. I've already taken care of these envelopes with that last paycheck. Remember, I took out $400. That takes me a month to use up. So I don't have to budget for that in this paycheck. I've already taken care of those. And I'm not going to budget anything for beauty because I know that I don't need anything. But technically you would at least want to like budget 10, $20 for yourself. But I have a lot of debt. So I really have to prioritize what's more important to me, getting my nails done and buying fancy shampoo, or paying off my debt quicker and having a better life for my husband, my son, and myself. So anyway, but I'm going to set aside like $50 for us. I think one of the local farms out here is like starting the apple picking in September. So I wanted to like budget $50 for that so that we, us three could go have a nice fun day before, Joe maybe leaves in like another long underwear or something like that. So just something to do as a family. Budget for it. Don't just go crazy and start swiping the debit card or credit card again for something that you've not thought about. I'm thinking about potentially fun. And maybe we don't get to do that. Then my actual zero, and okay, then I can put that $50 towards something else. Maybe one of those student loans again, maybe extra debt. But anyway, so technically these envelopes add, oh my God, look at me. Who am I? 150. Carry that down. That leaves $100 left over. I'm going to take that $100 and look, I almost wrote fun over here like an idiot. I wish I had white out. So left over with $100, I'm going to take out $50 for Christmas this time. And actually, by time we are towards like the middle or end of September, our Christmas will be fully funded and Christmas won't be on here anymore. And then we get to put more towards JR or extra debt or whatever we think is a priority at that moment. Car, we actually just had the oil changed in the car last month, but I want to make sure we start budgeting and setting cash aside so that when that comes up again in 6 more months, I have cash to pay for that and I'm not swiping my debit card, swiping a credit card, doing something stupid. I've budgeted for it. Car maintenance comes around every, 4 to 6 months, budget for it. And then this paycheck, we're getting to put $25 in JR savings, which makes me really happy. That's not much. Maybe you can put in way more because you don't have nearly as much debt as I do, and that's great. Save for the things that are important to you. Maybe you don't have kids, so maybe this reads Vegas trip or something. I don't know. But anyway, all of those add up to 100, and I'm left over with 0 again. So these are still blank because I don't know. Maybe that check will be higher, maybe it won't. Again, I've probably said that 20 times. But again, this will come out and this would say $950 if I went and added up that 100, 800, and 50. So that's that. I'm sure I'm missing something, but I don't know. So it's not rocket science what I'm doing. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but again, I think there's something super important about putting pen to paper and seeing and prioritizing where your money is going. Because I think there's like some crazy fact. You spend 45% more when you swipe like a debit or credit card than you do when you pay for cash, like pay cash with things. And I mean, that makes sense. If I get down to my envelope and it's 5 more days before we get paid, and I need 5 more dinners, and my cash envelope, I have $30 left, I got to make it work. Dave Ramsey says this thing, it's like beans and rice, like you're living on nothing. And I think that's what a budget's really supposed to do, is we're supposed to challenge ourselves a little bit. At least that's my goal. I'm like, and that sounds so terrible. We're not like starving or anything. Believe me, my kid eats very well. If you've seen him, he eats very well, as do I. And so does Joe. So we're not like starving ourselves or anything, but I do like to challenge myself. I'm like, okay, like, yes, we came in $50 under budget on food. I can put that $50 towards something else, or I can maybe take that and keep that and roll that over into my envelope for my next like month's groceries. And that way I have $50 more to spend, and maybe I can go do like a big Costco run or something and buy some things in bulk that way. But anyway, that's getting way further into this than I think you all probably care to hear. And I'm at like 20 minutes. I'm like, trying to keep this short. But again, I'll just say again, I think there's something super important to do this. A friend of mine, we actually kind of sat down and went over her stuff together. And she set some goals for her and her husband, and we went over her budget, and she's very fortunate, and it seems like maybe in the next year she'll be able to obtain like her big goal. So, and I'm not going to say any of that. It's not my business to share her life, but like, it's so crazy. And I got so excited like with her, and I was like, that's so great. Like, you will meet your goal in a year. That's so crazy. Whereas Joe and I, including our car and everything, we have $50,000 in debt. Makes me want to puke. But actually the way that we're budgeting for all of this, and we've sat and kind of done the math and everything, and the way that we plan to do that debt snowball. So again, starting with my student loan is technically the lowest amount. Once we pay that off, I pay $50 a month. So then like the next, next highest bill is Joe's student loan, and we pay $52 a month for his. So once mine's paid off, I take the $50 from that and add it to the $52 I pay for Joe's, and then I get to pay $102 every month towards his. And see, that just keeps like paying them off quicker. And so the way we actually have done that, and we kind of sat and did all the math, we will be debt free, not making any extra income. I didn't even factor in if we make extra income, just going off all of this. We'll have everything paid off in 3 years. It makes me so happy. 3 years. My son will be 4. If Joe doesn't re-enlist in the military, which that's a whole different conversation, that means we would walk out of this particular time in our life, like Joe's career, debt free. Let's say he stays in and does 20, we would be debt free in 3 years, and then by the time he retires at 20 years, we would have plenty of money saved up to go buy our forever home with cash. And some of you are like, Haley, you're supposed to use credit. Credit's good. Ugh, that annoying voice. I'm so sorry. I don't care about my credit score. She's crazy. I don't care about my credit score. Credit score, again, Dave Ramsey. He says, like, pretty much it's, they're scoring you on how well you can manage debt. I literally just told you I have $50,000 in debt. That's what Joe makes in a year. So, actually, he makes less than that after you take out, like, BAH and everything. So, you're telling me that I have a really good credit score. So, you're telling me that somehow my credit score says that I can handle all this debt really well. But clearly I can't. I just kept putting myself into more. Eventually, I'm not going to be able to handle it anymore, and I would end up in bankruptcy. So, and that's not somewhere I want to be. So, I don't care. I know that everyone seems to have a rule that you should have this many credit cards, and you should do this, and you should pay everything with a credit card, and then pay the bill off at the end of the month. Yeah, I used to do that. And then it gets easier and easier to keep spending because you start paying less and less attention. The only other thing I can say is I think something that's super important is you should be checking your bank account every day. I'm not going to show it here, but I have an actual list just on a piece of copy paper of our transactions. I know that obviously I'll get a statement at the end of the month, but I like sit and I write out those transactions and I see where our money is going. And I can sit and highlight it and, you know, like this was food, this was gas, you know, this was whatever. And that'll hold me accountable on following this budget. So maybe get up and check your bank account before you check Facebook in the morning. I used to do that for the longest time, and I got out of the habit, and then look where I got myself. I think it helps, but anyway. And you also might be like listening to this and you're like, wow, Haley, you're so stupid. I knew all of this. Maybe I do all of this. Like, that's great. Sorry for wasting your time. But this is the way I do things. It works for me. Like I said, I've taken like little bits from Dave Ramsey, little bits from the Budget Mom, and then just taken a lot of bit of what works for us and have balanced out our budget and pay what we can with whatever paycheck has the wiggle room to do so. And even 6 months from now, maybe you guys like this. Maybe I'll do another one in 6 months or something. I don't know. And you guys, like, this is going to look so much different, especially because in 6 months we'll no longer have a car payment because we're selling our car. And so that's going to look totally different. So I don't know. Maybe you don't do things like this and you're like, wow, that's so awesome. I'm going to implement this. Great. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, or if you already do this, I'm sorry for wasting your time, and good job. Congratulations. You figured it out way before me. I was spending like a child and I wasn't paying attention, and this is where I got myself. So that's that. I'm sure I missed something, but that's okay. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, just comment or message me or do whatever. I don't know where I'm going to post this, but let me know. Maybe I can be of some help. Like I said, I sat and helped a friend actually sit down and do her budget with like this calendar and this tracker. And like I said, she is making some strides towards a very big goal for her and her husband. So maybe I could sit and do the same for you. Sometimes I think maybe just having a second set of eyes will help. So anyway, that's that. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. I'm keeping this under half an hour. All right. I hate myself. All right.